Okay, Mr. Prime Minister, on to the next section of our interview. You have visited Naypyidaw earlier this month. What has this visit achieved, and what is the current status of the border closure with Thailand?
At the bilateral level, it was a good opportunity to discuss issues that affect both sides. The issue of labor, migration, workers, drugs, and security along the border. I think there were very frank discussions about the problems that still exist along the border, and we've identified ways, both in a short and longer term, to try to improve the situation. The closure is affecting trade, but a lot of trade is actually rerouted so that it takes place anyway. But be that as it may, we will try to make sure that this is something that will not last long. But the problem, the Myanmar side tells me, is more about security matters, and that needs to be resolved before they can open the border again at Mason.
And of course, what is your view on the upcoming November 7 election in Myanmar?
I think there continues to be a gap in terms of the reality and the expectations that the international community has. Between now and the elections, we have to be realistic that that gap is not going to be closed. So I think the sensible thing is for people to look beyond the elections and to see how the politics in Myanmar is going to evolve, how we can all play our part in encouraging the political process to become more open and inclusive.
You've always been the champion of the so-called flexible engagement. Do you care to elaborate on that for the future in terms of Thailand engagement with flexible engagement with Myanmar?
Yes, I think again the hard decisions will be on those countries that have decided to engage more and are disappointed by the elections. They have to, I think, keep the course and retain the belief that engaging Myanmar is more likely to produce constructive changes than actually cutting off links and isolating or alienating Myanmar.
So you're not a believer in sanctions that other Western countries has imposed upon?
You know, they can decide on that, but to actually cut all links would not make sense. At the very least, I think the humanitarian assistance that they continue to provide should continue.
On to Cambodia now. What is the state of bilateral relation between Cambodia and Thailand right now? And has there been any improvement in relations since your meeting with Prime Minister Hun Sen in New York? If so, can you please tell us about these improvements?
Well, I think there has been steady improvement. Our respective ambassadors are back at work, and with 2 meetings already between myself and Prime Minister Hun Sen, we've also taken a number of initiatives. The Minister of Information of Cambodia was recently here. Cambodian media had a delegation here, so that there is a better understanding and also a series of cultural events that would bring the two sides, the two countries even closer. On the problems along the border, there is a recognition that we have a mechanism that deals with the problem. I hope that before I go to Hanoi, Parliament will have a chance to debate the agreed minutes of the JBC meetings.
I see. And just shortly, for the future, what can Thailand do to minimize diplomatic spat? Because it seems that the last few years that we have been having with Cambodia, spat with Cambodia, what can we do as a country with a long-term strategy?
Countries with common borders often have misunderstandings and have ups and downs, but 2 key principles I think should be put in place. First is that one shouldn't allow a particular or a single issue to cloud over or dominate the overall relationship. If that's clear, I think then, you know, we can manage the overall relationship. And you know, despite what people say about the problems that we have had, you should also notice that border trade continues to flourish, and also lots of other dimensions of the relationship that are still proceeding. And the second principle, of course, is that we should at all costs avoid violence and avoid clashes. And to do that, I think we need to have a good coordination between the two sides. And we're doing that through various mechanisms from the local to the national level.
Is there a role for multilateralism, perhaps, or through regional bodies?
No, I think at the moment the bilateral mechanisms are sufficient to deal with the problems.
I see. And of course, lastly, is there any other important issues regarding our neighboring countries that you want to raise to our viewers?
I would say that you know, our relations with Malaysia, with Laos, have been very good. Some people even say at the highest point for quite some time. With Myanmar, I think we're gonna see the building on some of the cooperation, particularly on this issue of migrant workers, and how we can cooperate to facilitate, to make sure that we stop illegal trafficking, and also that both sides really benefit from migrant workers. And with Cambodia, you know, I think if we can keep up the momentum where there continues to be constructive discussions on the problems that we face, I think that's going to improve too.
Okay, and for the last question, Mr. Prime Minister, if you can achieve one more thing for the remainder of your term as the Prime Minister of Thailand, what would it be?
Concerning ASEAN or general?
Anything, general.
I think that since we've managed to steer the economy to quite a strong recovery, and I hope once the flood situation has passed and we are able to rehabilitate people's lives, people who have been affected by the flood, I think the ultimate goal that we would like to achieve, of course, is unity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, for giving us this interview.
You're welcome.
And thank you.
Thanks very much for that, and that wraps up the news on this hour at ASEAN TV News. Thanks for watching and have a great morning. I'm Lasalin Tepawan. Sawadee ka.